Alright, so let's talk a little bit about drawing scary man. Um, this guy here, his eyes are very big, but it's also part of the. Everyone can hear me? I'm not muted. It's also part of the style. But what you need to do first before everything is exactly what we covered last class. You need to be able to draw some edges, bring in some edge work because right now everything is fuzzy. You don't have any real. So I've covered this last class. I'm not going to repeat myself too much because your values are so wonderful. I really want to just try to show you. Using a blocking brush, all I'm doing right now is I'm introducing these edges. Really, really important edges. I'm really radially introducing. I'm literally thinking faster than I can talk right now. This happens a lot with me. I'm radially introducing the values. Alright, anywhere else where we have this kind of edge, I'm going to look for it. And this kind of edge, again, just like last class, it's the fold of the paper, not so much one object in front of the other. It's especially required for this right here. Just the sound of a woman, baby, it's the sound that a heart needs. Couldn't really hear you. I had you muted. Wow. Wow, thanks. Wow, Marco. I really don't know how to make coffee. Alright? I don't know the ins and outs of making coffee. I didn't know a coffee maker takes forever to finish. Like, when I have my tea, I pour it, and I thought coffee is just like equivalent to that. I'm a real coffee noob. Like, it's just, I need a coffee, I go to Timmy's. It's always been like that. But, I don't know. Never really understood coffee, to be honest. So now I'm looking for edges that have one object layered in front of them. So one object in front of them. This is the stacking. And this leads to an edge that is caused by depth. Now I'm just doing another one of those edges caused by the fold in the paper. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if all this sounds weird to you, like it's some inside joke, all my videos cover this kind of stuff, all the basics. Alright. Edge work is most people's weakness, yeah. Because they're brought up to think that blending is, if you blend, you can draw. And that's the exact opposite. It's mostly if you can construct geometries, yes, you can draw. Sometimes you have like a science engineer or computer engineer, I don't know what they're called, but mechanical engineer, people who draw all kinds of blueprints in like structural form. I guess they're always building diagrams of cars, and if you ask them to, the first time they ever are introduced to visual art and they're trying to draw a face, they will most likely succeed at it a lot faster or have a head start on all the geometry. No, it's not because they're geniuses, it's because they're exposing themselves to the thinking of geometry way earlier than you are. So you think that you have a head start just because you're an artist and you like to look at stuff and you practice your blending. It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean anything for you. If you have an experience and taught yourself the geometry language, that's all it means. It's just you're looking for the cubes and the squares and finding the edges and the curves thereafter. Try using Keurig to make coffee. Draw some coffee. Maybe that'll help, Kenneth. Thank you, Sophia. Yeah, you guys can pretty much watch them later. My weakness is currently stacking with recorder view. That's the most weakness. That's the most area of weakness that I find with my students. So some really, really basic edges here. I'm trying to separate the forehead from the afro. And you really want to find these little edges. You really want to look for them because they will make everything pop out. But the thing is, here's the rub. You guys ready for it? When you don't have anatomical knowledge, you don't know where these edges are. So it's both an indication that you don't have a geometry language and an indication that you don't have enough. The pool of an anatomical knowledge in your mind is very limited. So you have to be aware where the tear ducts, or not the tear ducts, where those little inner corners and outer corners of the eyes are, where the waterline sits, how thick the waterline would be between male and female. That's a great deal of anatomy detail. So you can't detail if you don't have anatomy knowledge. There's like, large zoomed out anatomy or zoomed in anatomy. Most of it is involved in actually zooming in on your reference as much as staying zoomed out. So what are some of your art goals or New Year's resolutions for 2017? For me, it's more masterpieces. Now, I've been very wary, and I've been trying to practice what I preach and avoid masterpieces altogether. I've really been avoiding that as the plague, to the point where I even think I can't even try a master. I can't even do a masterpiece if I wanted to. But I know I have the skill for certain areas, and I know I should probably execute it. But as I always say, a masterpiece is good only for one thing, and it works as a really good only for one thing, and it works as an indication of where you are currently in your art skills. It shows your weaknesses. In essence, everything is a study at the end of the day. Alright, so this edge work that I'm bringing in is a combination of awareness of the geometries, where we have folds, both the paper fold and one object in front of the other, stacking, and just general anatomy of the area. And it has boosted this info. It has boosted the resolution of your painting. Just look at that. Before, after. I don't like this slight highlight happening here on the edge. There's like this highlight. I think it's the resolution. I'm not really sure what's causing it. Yeah, it is the resolution. It's kind of like there's a line of white right there. I'm not sure what's causing that. And by using the soft brush, I'm just going to create a quick shine on the nose, and the shine on the nose is a buildup of the lightest point, gradually, radially built up along the shiniest edge of the nose, just around there. See that? Are you gonna still kind of go sometime? Are you still going to work on a comic? So lately I've been sketching a lot. The point of 2016 resolution, which is sketch more, do less masterpieces, was to perfect like my general knowledge of everything that can be sketched, raw info, to improve what I can, the knowledge of I don't know what to call it really, the facts in the painting. What is this? Where's it going? What is it doing? Instead of just creating the illusion of detail and then just mastering the face and mastering some clothing and over-rendering the hand and everything else is like a misrepresentation of a group of detail. I tried to be able to create more focused, realistic detail. I'm going to change the temperature of the cast shadow to be different from the eyebrow hair, just like that. But 2017 is more really towards trying to build a bigger project, trying to work on a wider scale. Larger scale. So the reason why I want to make all these shadows the same temperature is because it reinforces the light source as having been the same throughout the entire painting. A little bit of white on the inside of the eye. Right there, only the shiniest areas get that little bit of highlight. And this is all a combination again of edge work and stuff. So so you want to start digital this year. That's really nice. Not a New Year's resolution, but I will try to take notes in your lessons and apply it to my art. That's absolutely a resolution, Rosalinda. The notes are one way to ensure that you're not going to forget or mistreat these facts. I mean, this is stuff that I'm here telling you. I'm not overvaluing myself, and God knows I'm my worst enemy, but I charge people a lot of money to sit there with them one-on-one and just explain to them everything that I know. And really they're buying the personal experience versus just buying the knowledge. I try not to censor what I do in public class between what I teach in private class. It's the same knowledge, it's just as personal between you and I. So when I'm sitting here teaching you guys, it's really, I'm breaking it down with all the mental power that I have to break it down. I give it my all. So taking notes is really one way to ensure that, yeah, you get this for free, but it doesn't diminish the fact that we're seeing before and afters. I'm not trying to overvalue myself or sell myself, but if I had something similar to what you guys have right now, just a demonstration, just for the sake of the before and after, if I just had that, I would have improved so much faster. I'd be much better than I am today. This temperature right here will be the same as this one. So I'm literally just drop tooling that and using the same value. Actually, this one is a lot less, like not a lot less, but a slightly less contrast because it's a further away from the light source. But what this is, what I'm doing right now, can anyone explain what I'm doing? Does anyone have a term for it? But yeah, please take notes. Please take notes. You guys are doing yourselves a favor. I'm here whether or not you take notes, but are you going to let 2017 pass by the way you let 2016 pass by, with a substantial lack in your portfolio? And for me, I look at my portfolio and I see a substantial lack. Just a lot of lacking. And I don't want 2017 to pass the same way. Yeah, internally I've changed a lot, but I want to prove that. I want to be able to show that as well in a body of work. And you want to be able to do that as well. It's the same thing no matter what skill level you're at. You still want to be able to show and represent your skill level in a tangible way. And a portfolio is the best way for that. So just along, the further we get from the light source, which is closer to the eyes, the less contrast we have. So I'm going to decrease the contrast around his nose. I'm also going to reinforce the coarse shadow under his nose. But can anyone tell me what this is called? Blocking, diffusion, sharpening? No. What's the difference between this and this? What's it called? The reason why I ask you guys what it's called is because I want to reverse engineer the thought. Like I want to reverse it. I want to introduce you to what you already know backwards to see if you really did know it inside and out. What's it called? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. I'm really hyper and out of control when I take coffee. I'm very sorry. Very sorry. No. Blocking in, no. Nope, nope, nope. Alright. So the eye light underneath the eyebrow is not, it doesn't come attached to the eyebrow. You don't just have white hairs under the eyebrow. It's the brow bone. So this whole area is light. But because there's pigmentation, some of that is hidden. The pigmentation is caused by hair. So it's not so much that we throw this in there because we have to, but we throw it in there because it also overlaps on top of the brow as well. Do I watch South Park? Yes, I do. New here and want to learn. Sadly, I'm in the middle of the night and I can't hang around too long. This is going to be on, yes, this is going to be uploaded as a recording on my channel. Please like and subscribe. I'm just going to decrease the brightness of that. Come on, guys. Rendering. There we go. Rendering. Redendering. Narian X, you're right. Rendering, guys. This is called rendering. You render, not by shrinking your brush. Have I shrunk my brush once, like, except for the water line, maybe? Have I shrunk my brush, to be honest? No. Edge work is how you render. And this is where just to reinforce my lesson from last week, because it might have been a little eclipsed by controversial subjects that will not be specified here now. Finding the edges is one form, but under the umbrella of rendering. This is how you render. Okay. Mark's like, what the fuck? I do all kinds of like accents and stuff, and one of them is like the like Georgian, kind of like country, and he wants to tell me to shut up, but he's just too polite. So here I am saying it myself. Shut up, Mr. Rack. Borderline offensive. Alright, I'm just casting a shadow. Guys, I have a confession. I'm not good at art. When I say refining, I meant rendering. Brownie point? No. Everyone is good at art in their own way. Could you explain what's included in rendering? Rendering is being able to find the edges both in large and small objects. Rendering is being able to differentiate like bringing in, differentiating between the core shadow and the secondary light source. So after we've established the shadows and everything's been considered, rendering is being able to decide which cast shadows stay sharp, which fuzz out, and being able to have that scope, that spectrum, sorry. Rendering is bringing in the secondary shadow, secondary light source. Rendering is shrinking your brush, but at the very, very ends of the painting. Rendering is building the highest amount of contrast, so how bright you're going to go, how dark you're going to go. So for this nostril right here, after I added like this secondary light source, which doesn't seem possible in this kind of situation, but rendering is also doing this. Radially introducing the darkest point of the nostril, just like that. All of that is under the umbrella of rendering. And that's really not a lot. It's really, really not a lot. Okay. So before, after. Because I don't have time to increase the contrast, I'm just going to go ahead and use this here. That's too much. No. I don't think that'll work. I think this one will work right here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So let's get the old background color because that contrast. Change the old background color. Before. Before. After. So that's what I mean by raising the brightness as well. Okie dokie. I feel like I was about to say something, but I forgot what it was that I was going to say. I'm just all over the place right now. I really should avoid coffee. But yeah. And let's select... I'm just going to keep doing this, aren't I? I don't know when to stop. Was I about to say something and I forgot? Did I completely forget what I was going to say? Select inverse. Get the brush. And then slowly descend anything on the outsides into a shadow. So not so much an outline as half the face is entering this shadow. Okay, so the eye is very big. So I want to let you know that the eye is big. I hope you know this. If you don't, I'll show you. But when I say the gestures, I look really bad. Yeah, I forgot a question for you, Istebrak. It was a good question. It isn't coming back. Oh man, I feel like I forgot something. My God, coffee really screws with your brain, don't it? Okay. So there's that. So before, after, so just shrinking the eye. But the big nose and the whole big nose, big eye thing is really cute. It's like a nice, cute little style. But of course, if you wanted to bring this into a portfolio and use it practically, I mean, his nose also needs to shrink. But I'll just leave it the way you made it. So before, after. That's how you render. Shrinking your brush, finding the edges. Edges are a really weird concept, but you just gotta be in there. Alright, character design. Biggest, first, and most important no. Please, for the love of God Almighty, do not use a colored background. There's absolutely no stylistic purpose for this colored background. Nothing. It's just a practical purpose, sorry. Stylistic purpose, yeah, sure. But there is no practical purpose for the design in any way that boosts the success of this design to the peachy desertiness around him. It's not needed. It's not needed. Alright. It's not needed. One thing that it will do is throw off your colors. It'll excuse your colors for being too peachy and very close to this because you've created the sepia tone. The new standard is now the peach. Because the background color was so light, peach or not, it needs a lighter shadow. Does the shadow belong to the object casting it? No, it belongs to the object receiving it. Cast shadows belong to the object that receives them. Cast shadows belong to the objects receiving them. Write that back to me. That means this. Sorry, I'm out of breath. This shadow here is needs to be much lighter. Should probably do that with a lasso because it's starting to look like he has cloud feet. Okay. Sorry that I am out of breath. I work out in the morning and it just leaves me out of breath for the rest of the day. And sometimes, like this one time, right in the middle of class, I lost my breath. The student's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just talking, and I just gasp out of nowhere. I'm just going, it was so funny. It was so fucked up. I'm very, very sorry. I grew up with not braces, but I grew up with glasses and asthma. I was like the biggest nerd. I was like textbook nerd. See what I just did there? Cast shadows belong to the objects receiving them, not the objects casting them. Alright, they inherit its texture, its value, and all of that business. The only thing they do is reflect the shadow, the shape of the object, like a reflection. I think I have to cut class short because I can't breathe. Alright, so we've taken care of that. Presentation-wise, please don't make a claustrophobic image, please. Please give your character some breathing room, some space, or else it will stunt the growth of the character around the canvas. You'll end up just compressing them. And this is really, really obviously happening here because this is one short fella. He looks like a very short, angry Arab man. They usually come short and angry, which is kind of accurate, but I'm Arab, I get to make that joke. The rest of you just shut up. I'm joking, I don't care. Alright, so for him, what you've got going on, let's talk a little bit about gesture. I'm actually going to lose my breath. I'm actually going to gasp one of those gasps. Like it's actually going to happen. I'm so sorry in advance that if it's going to happen. Okay. Okay, so right now what you have going on is this like Barbie doll arm. Alright? You want to show us his hook. You're like, yo, he has a hook. Come look at it. Here, I'll give it to you. And you're just like, hook. Hook. This is wrong. Alright? He doesn't just walk around sticking his hook out. This is not how he looks when he's threatening someone. It looks like he's actually, I'll get to that in a second. But this gesture is very, very stiff. I like the way you have his hand kind of like just ready to grab his dagger. This feels more natural. Okay, I'm trying to breathe. Give me a second. Give me 1 second, okay? Okay. So what really needs to happen here is you need to loosen up this elbow. This elbow feels forced and tucked in. Let's say just put your hand on your belts. What happens to your elbow? Does it really if you just let it go, it doesn't really just get stuck to your torso and it doesn't really hover out like how angry people put their hands on their sides. So it's kind of like a little bit loose. It's kind of in between. So I feel like the elbow needs to be way lower than his hand, especially if his hand is near his belly button. So put your hands on your belly buttons. Just caress your bellies. You find that the elbow is lower and a lot looser. Just let your elbow go. Let it fall on the side. So this right here would be a lot lower. Okay? And then, I can't breathe. And, alright, so there's that. So I'm going to correct that. Put that on a new layer. And then we have this one. And I feel like his hand would just be a little bit to the side. There'd be some breathing room and he'd have like his sleeve would be there and his hook would be just ready to cut somebody's eyeball out just at the side. Feels a lot more natural this way, don't it? So what I'm going to do is just draw around these corrections. Just doesn't feel natural if he's in a relaxed state and he's kind of threatening someone with his little hook. It's a character design. It's not an illustration. It's not an illustration in an open scene or there's a background. It's just to show off the character, draw me a character and design it, make sure he's not doing anything that hides some of the costume. Right, and then he's got his hook. And that's that. And that feels a little bit more natural. Let me use my brush. Feels a little bit more natural than what we have had here. I'm going to make his hook kind of like the stub reach out a little further because his hand is shortened without the hand. And I would probably tuck this behind it because of the stacking. Feels a lot more natural than him just sticking out. Yeah, it's a lot more boring, but it's a character design. So it's not really supposed to be an action unless they're trying to, design some of the personality as well. I feel like his hand needs to be just way bigger. And a little bit even more so behind. Just out of the way because his cloak or his coat is just billowing. And that feels a lot more character design-esque than having him have those Barbie doll hands. Another thing that you can do is instead of having this hand hold the dagger or have both of them, instead of having just one of them holding the dagger, you can have both of them holding the dagger. And this one just hooks, kind of like just hooking on nearby. And you have him just doing this whole business like that. And this elbow is lower. I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Why can't I breathe? Barbie doll arm is like when they're arbitrarily bent for no reason. Yeah. So you ever seen a Barbie doll? It's just, its arms are always bent like la la la, like a robot. That's what I mean. When you guys have this, you're trying to give it a gesture. But there's no gesture in there other than the one that your visual library remembers from when you were a kid. A long time ago. And you had your little Ken dolls or your action figures or your Barbie dolls. Who actually owned a Ken doll though? My parents always thought that if they got us Barbies and a boy Barbie, that we'd make them boyfriend girlfriend, and that would be haram. So we never got. All right. Okay. So that, along with his beautiful face, which we see here. You guys are so used to drawing girls, you guys forget that you're drawing a man. Not just that, you're drawing a brutal killer. A killer who lost his hand in a fucking, like, I don't know, night fight or something. Okay, so we need to shrink these eyes. Come on. And we need to lower this all the way. Give him less of an eyebrow arc. What's he doing? What's he doing raising his eyebrows up like that? Which eyebrow pencil does he use to get that kind of shape? Doesn't feel natural. Doesn't seem like this pretty boy ever climbed the status in a ship and became the captain. He probably climbed it with his evil little stare and his handless demeanor. Alright, so I want to give him more ugliness. I'm going to increase the size of his nose. He's still cute as fuck, but he's not so pretty I want to do his eyelashes and his makeup. He's not so pretty that I want to curl his hair, throw him on a runway. You have to be able to differentiate between different kinds of beauty. The man's beauty is different from a woman's beauty in design. I know you guys think that there are a million genders out there, but there's only two really biological genders, and we work from them to design a character that's believable in their gender. There's 1,001 social genders. You can't even count them. But in this case, we need to know which gender he is so we can treat his beauty accordingly. We can't just have our gallery full of pretty ogres and beautiful Maybelline pirates and cutthroats that look like they just popped right out of a magazine. We can't do that. We can't ever make everyone androgynous. It shows a sign of weakness. So what I'm doing right now is giving him that ugliness. Making him look pissed. It wasn't easy climbing the ranks and becoming a decorated captain. Probably took a lot of time. Probably stayed up a lot of sleepless nights trying to devise how he's going to lead the mutiny and insurgency and take the throne and I don't know. Whatever. This is why I say the narrative is so important. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm giving him a different kind of... So write it back to me. There are many different kinds of beauty. You have to be able to have... You have to be able to know it's not an accidental beauty. Just because you draw girls doesn't mean every man you draw has to work out of that 14-day challenge template that you studied. Alright, so please remember that, if you are going to try to make a handsome looking pirate who's easy on the eyes. I mean, if this guy tried to kidnap me, I don't know, I just might let him. But he's definitely not beautiful. I mean, I would not let this guy try to kidnap me. I mean, I would not let this fucker kidnap me. I mean, I'm just saying. But this beautiful, gorgeous creature, it just looks like a woman in a beard. And then you've got this guy who really feels like his status. He's coming out of this like dog eat dog world. Where did he get time to pluck his eyebrows and form those beautiful arches? Did he go on a YouTube channel and look it up? Right, so you can give him this look. He still has an arc, but it's not a feminine arc. There are many different kinds of beauty. Learn them in order to use them. There isn't just one kind. And some of them are not interchangeable between genders. And write this back to me. Some beauties are not interchangeable between the two genders. In narration and writing, it's really important, especially if your writer has written this person to be a man. If you're going to be hired for a commission for someone who needs a man, not something androgynous. You cannot use the beauty you're used to using in your drawings. Alright, there's that. And then there's the fact that he's a little shorty. Nothing wrong with short men, but it doesn't add up, the numbers and the head all the way down through the knees. Alright, so let me just correct that. Right there. The reason why I say social genders is I don't think it would matter what gender we are in an island where we're alone. Would it really matter? At that point, we're trying to find food and survive, right? So the way I see it is, and this is just my opinion, if you share it, you share it. If you don't, complain about it on another channel if you want to. But they're called social genders because we need to see them. They need to be exhibited. They need to be represented or presented to another group of people for us to identify as female, non-female, half male kind of deal. Right? So that's why I call them social genders, because they don't work unless there's a group of people around you witnessing this act in action. Witnessing this gender in action. So there's no shame. It's not diminishing the definition of more than one gender. It's just placing it exactly where it belongs on a scientific level. If you go to the doctor, it doesn't matter what gender you think you are, you have to tell them whether you're a man or a woman, because biologically you're built differently. Combine different musculoskeletal differences, hormonal differences. So before y'all get your torches and your axes and your pitchforks and go hunt the beast that is Istebrak. Alright. Some beauties in two genders. The discourse begins. Yikes, you get it. Makes sense. What's this discourse thing? Is there a good way to exaggerate? What? Is it good to exaggerate to communicate clearly to an audience? So I mean to exaggerate the ogre, exaggerate the elf? Is that what you mean? Absolutely it's good. So I made his nose very large. In real life, this guy's nose would be really, really large. Right? So what you have to do is, if you want to make this guy as ugly as possible, go for it. Completely bring his eyes closer together. Let me show you. If I bring his eyes a little closer together, what's going to happen to his beauty? Any amount of handsomeness that he has will just be taken back. Alright. So I'm bringing them closer together, and you'll see in a second. I'm exaggerating his ugliness. Let's say the writer wrote this guy to be just specifically hideous. You know, he was talking about how writing very like specifically about how this guy was very difficult on the eyes. No matter how joyous the party became, became, he would always have a reason to be cranky, or he never looked like he enjoyed himself even when he was enjoying himself. And that's why he became such a good captain, because he was very unpredictable. Alright, that's an amazing character to write. So we brought his eyes closer together. And kind of just trying to get rid of that double vision look right now we're having. He's kind of looking a little bit uglier. I mean, he's not easy on the eyes anymore. This guy is hideous. Especially from his unibrow. Which I'll get rid of. This guy is a lot less handsome than this guy, right? So he doesn't look like he's very friendly. He doesn't look like he's about to let you go because you're a woman and you have kids. This guy, he looks like he might just let you go. Not necessarily walk the plank. See, this is what I mean by exaggeration. You as the artist have to know at your disposal what you can exaggerate and what you can't. But for my critique, I'm just going to bring his eyes closer together, because before they seemed a little derpy. Llama-like. Llama-like eyes. As designers, if you want to be an artist but you believe and you're a practicer of the transgenderism or whatever it's called, I'm really not sure how to refer to it without sounding like an idiot, but if you believe in fluid gender, there you go. If you believe in gender fluidity, and you're a designer, you have to let a certain amount of that go. You can't sacrifice the fact that you might get hired for your design skills because you believe in a certain way. I mean, you know, it would be weird if you know, in Islam we believe that, well, I don't believe this. Some extremists believe that drawing the human form is absolutely illegal. You can get excommunicated from the religion. But here I am drawing, you know. I can't bring in my beliefs or the belief system that is surrounding this discourse to stand in the way of my skills, stand in the way of my hobby. So this is me addressing it directly. If you believe in the gender fluidity, you can't believe in it as a designer, or else you're limited in that respect. If you're okay with being limited in that, go ahead. There's an audience for that as well. But it might not be in the AAA, and those who don't believe in the gender fluidity and character design and really want to draw a man when they want to draw a man and draw a woman when they want to draw a woman, they can also draw a gender fluid character if they wanted to. They just, you know, create a gray area in their design. So you're replaceable. Always assume that you're replaceable. You have to be able to offer as much as you can. Represent yourself with the most power. Have your gallery be the gallery that's irreplaceable. Do not be dispensable as a designer. Show that you are bringing everything to the table, that you are capable of designing from all kinds of perspectives. So show your capability in that way. If you're going for those like AAA designs or anything that mimics AAA character design and pre-production and development and concept work. So let's look at the before and after and just see how this guy looked before. I'm going to try to keep it where we kept the canvas large. I don't think I'll be able to. Yeah, the canvas is going to be short, but that's fine. Before. After. See, he looked very cute. He looked like a little Barbie or a cute little lady or a princess who was trying to fit in with the men, right? Doesn't it look like that? So this is in the case of Mulan, they really couldn't make her look too feminine. Mulan actually looked like a guy. Right? They had a really, really difficult choice. They had a lot of, you know, they had a very difficult way around making her look like a man. But they got away with a lot of it. So let's take a look. When she became a man, look at how they changed her head shape. Her head shape was circular before she turned into a guy. And then after, we started seeing more angular edges. Look at that, especially the transformation scene. They really spent all their time on this scene. And just look at that, masculine. It should have been tucked in. but they really help the design along. She still has the same mouth type, the same eye type, but I'm trying to see a different, what the fuck is this? I'm trying to see a different scene where she's a man. I want to see what happens to her eyebrow arc. Does it disappear, or is it a little bit more mild? So right here, the eyebrows are a little low, but she's in an expression. So when she's a female, she should have much more arched brows. And when she was in the male form, they actually redesigned it to actually make her look like a man. They couldn't just have a pretty face in armor. Even then, they knew they had to follow the rules for us as the viewers to see a man when we're looking at Mulan, to be a part of the design. What the fuck seriously is wrong with Google, man? We need to stay away from Google. Is that Mike Pence? Oh my god. Oh my god, people. Come on, just give me one scene with Mulan as a soldier. Mulan, soldier. Okay. So this scene is great because this is when she shows. And look how low her eyebrows are. She doesn't keep her eyebrows up. This wasn't like a duck face, selfie face that she was doing. She kept her eyebrows low. That's really what, in this moment when she's fighting against that bad guy, and she's like, hey, I'm the dude that, caused your failure. I took your victory from you. And at that moment, to create the dramatic effect, they lowered the eyebrows. Okay, so androgyny, there's very little space for it, even in the case of actual androgyny. In moments when she had to be effeminate, we saw that. And when she was in the water trying to hide her body. Remember that scene? Hilarious. But she looked very, very feminine. Her eyebrows entered the arc, her cheekbones came back, her face went back to being circular. But right back when she put that armor on, they had to start using those signatures again. So just remember, it's very, very little space for mixing up the story, because if you are working with a story mixing up the genders. Okay, so same with this guy. His eyes are so big, he looks like he's just a woman in makeup. So if you want to pull this off, and I've shown this lesson so many times, and I'm not going to back down from it every time I see it and just refer you to another video. And I feel like I get better at explaining stuff the more I explain it. So I'm just going to keep at this whenever I see an opportunity to show you how important it is to understand the gender signatures and design. I'm going to try to show you as many times as possible, but okay. And if you don't agree with what I'm saying, if you think my whole theory about this is wrong, you know where the door is. That's something that goes without saying. But I hope you understand that I am right. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound like a prick, but I'm pretty right about this stuff, because I've seen this stuff happen. I didn't make up the rules, I'm just repeating them. His eyes were especially far from each other. You know what I can do? I can just do that, and then increase the size of his nose. He doesn't have to be really ugly to be handsome. Remember that lesson that I showed you guys, the difference between the elf and the ogre. If you haven't seen it, please go try to see it. I wish I could repeat it here, but I explained it so much better over there, and I actually use pictures, and I use a little spectrum. The reason why he looks especially feminine is this really high eyebrow arc. Also, pregnant Rapunzel neck surgery? What? What's with the brain surgery thing? Have you gotten really good at using Liquify since you started critiques? No, I just started using density. Density lets you do different things in Liquify. So it gives you less or more power depending on how you use it. So it looks like I have control, but it's only because I've been keeping density or using density at my... And I guess it gets better. You kind of you're able to know what size to use for depending on what you're shifting. But take a look at this, everybody. He's still really fucking handsome, alright? Again, if this guy wanted to kidnap me, I don't know. I just might let him. Before. After. He's a very beautiful man. He has feminine features. Okay? There's other things it can do to really uglify him. Like really lower this. He has a lot of wrinkles. So what that will do is it will kind of sag his eyes downward. Also, the pupils are very big. The mouth needs to be much wider. So we're inverting this. We're inverting the ogre. I mean the elf into the ogre. I'm going to give him a little bit of a, I hate you, dirty, dirty enemy. To make him look disgusted. You also need to hide a lot of his face under his eyebrow. It seems like you guys are very, once you draw a good eye, you don't want to hide it. But sometimes the eye is hidden under a lot of shadow. Okay, so this guy looks like he was handsome in his youth. He looks like he probably seduced a lot of women in his time. But he definitely doesn't look like a Maybelline model. And some sort of, I mean, watch it. I'm pretty sure it's already happened on Runway. You know how crazy Runway gets? I'm sure they've added beards to Runway models. Oh my god. Like, let me just search it up. Let me see if I can find you an example. Beard, Runway. Come on. Come on, are you serious? Are you kidding me? Well, she had a disorder. She was a woman with a, oh my god. The Daily what the fuck. Okay, so here it is. You see the big eyes, perfect nose, perfect mouth. All you're adding are accessories and scars, and you're not really changing the genetics, the hormonal genetics. You're just adding scars. Let's look at this famous bearded girl. I think this is a girl, and all her features are very beautiful. If I saw a man with these features, I wouldn't be able to process it. I just think it was a woman with a beard. But we look at the face of a man, a lot closer to each other. The eyes are the nose is a lot bigger. Okay, so if you pitch this to your art director and they ask you to draw this ugly bastard who ruins the life of the protagonist, I mean, I'm rooting for this guy if this is what I'm seeing, because I'm attracted to beauty. Beauty is what the mind is made what invites the mind in. It represents health. Represents children and babies. Babies of all kinds, animals and whatnot, look cute because they're inviting care for them. They're cute, so they're easy to care for. All of them sound tiny and squeaky because they're easy to take care of. They don't sound like the enemy. They don't sound like the opposite gender that's always in competition. So, those are my 2 cents. I'm going to go ahead and get class done before I get an asthma attack. Istebrak, you're paying for my therapy. The drag race results. 10 out of 10. Polycystic ovarian syndrome. Oh, yeah. I've heard of that. It makes women grow hair, yeah. I guess their estrogen or progesterone is low and their testosterone spikes up. So they stay looking like women, but they have like an excessive hair growth and yeah. So let's see what everyone has. If you guys have questions, please ask them now. And write my name, Istebrak, in full so I can find your question, or else it'll just get flooded in the chat. Say my name. Say my name. Still can't remember the question now. Aw. Alright, so any questions? Smoking. That beard is fleek, if I do say so myself. Istebrak, what music were you listening to last night while you were drawing after getting off of League? I was listening to the Message soundtrack. The Message is the Message soundtrack by Maurice Jarre, Jarre. The Message. It's a famous movie that Arabs and Muslims of all types enjoy. Okay. Okay, so Istebrak, any tips to work faster and more effectively? In what respect? That's a very general question. Work faster, workflow in a painting, work faster to make more paintings in the week. Both those have different answers. متى تسوين الدرس الخاصة؟ متى تسوين الدروس الخاصة بالعربي؟ I'm not sure. العربي مالتي ضعيفة كلش. يعني I can't teach in Arabic as efficiently as I can in English. I mean, yeah. So I don't think I'll be able to. آسفة. يعني حاولت، يعني تدربت شوية like behind the closed doors، أتعلم الكلمات اللي أحكيهن، يعني مثل شلون أترجم الكلمة form، شلون أترجم الكلمة technique. وأكو ترجمات إلها، بس اللهجة مالتي يمكن تختلف من لهجة السامعين والمباشرين، مش مباشرين. And also my Arabic is very very weak as you can tell. ساسوتشي اكو هواي كلمات ما اعرفهن، ودروس يعني درس شلون يعني I host it in فصحى or باللهجة العراقية. يعني اللهجة العراقية افتهم هواي كلمات احكيهن، هواي الكلمات اللي احتاجهن اعرفهن للدرس، بس يمكن اذا واحد لبناني يسمعهن ما يفتهم قصدي شنو. اوكي، بس زين يعني مو كلش زين. not as good as my English at all. Okay. Istebrak, any tips for drawing explosions or general fast spontaneous movement? Zombie, explosions, sometimes you guys, when you guys make an explosion, this is something I learned, this is a quick tip. Okay, so you have an explosion, this is the source of the impact. Objects that are further away are larger, so the larger pieces are further off. The smaller pieces are closer together, clustered. And well, sometimes when you guys make explosions, you guys do this. Because again, you're working from a symbol. This and this and this and this are too close together. Nothing is wrong with just doing this. Really, just go random with it. It looks more like an explosion. Okay? So be random in sizes. Larger pieces, larger blocks are in the outsides. And they don't necessarily have to be the same size. Or, I mean, these are the same size, bad example. Or at the same distance from each other. So that's how you make something look like. Of course, motion blur. And if you're doing this with pencils, let's say you're drawing the edge, instead of connecting the edge of this object, you just do this instead. Connect the edge with blur lines. You don't get blur when you're drawing with pen. So this is how you make an explosion look like an explosion, by drawing some of the movement out of it. This looks really like an explosion now, doesn't it? Because we have different sizes at different distances from each other, and we have the arrow pointing back to the source of the impact, which is right over there. Istebrak, when I'm starting digital painting, should I paint on top of my sketches or block out the silhouette first? Both. The sketch will help you keep everything fluid and non-stiff, and the blocking in will help you turn that sketch into a form structure. Okay. Alright. Istebrak, what do you think about Paint Tool Sai? It's very, 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 I don't know what to call it, useless. There's many, many, many free stuff that offers you way more tools. Please don't. I find that everything that Paint Tool Sai can do is stuff that Photoshop can do and more. You can duplicate everything that Paint Tool Sai can do. Paint Tool Sai is like a really trendy thing to use if you're into that whole, I'm sorry to say this, but into that whole anime Jap culture thing. People use it just because it's Japanese or something like that. And I feel like it's not an industry standard. If you go to an interviewer and you're applying for like not a AAA company, but something a fraction of that in production value, and you tell them I use Paint Tool Sai, I don't know how to use Photoshop, they're going to kick you out of the door. You have to be able to, I mean, if you sketch in Paint Tool Sai, if you can use it and use Photoshop, that's different. But they want to be able to talk to you in Photoshop language and you understand them in Photoshop language. So it's useless in mass production. It's useless in like professional production. It's very useful just as what it offers, just to get some stuff jotted down. There are so many competing paint stuff out there that can do what Photoshop does that are not as expensive as Photoshop, but that's just my opinion on the matter. Oh my god, didn't know you were Arabic too. Yeah, I'm Arabic. Can't even English, so confused. Yeah, اللهجة الكويتية very very similar. بس المصريين إذا يسمعون اللبنانيين أو أهل اليمن يعني كنا نحكي غير شكل، حكينا يختلف. هواي أشكال بالعربي. How do you get more diversity in faces, especially in females? By using non-beauty signature, so bringing some of the ogre into the face, so making the woman's face just a little closer, the eyes just a little closer to each other, making her face just a little longer than it should be, but eyes and nose, nose and mouth are perfect position. So she has some beauty in there. She still looks like a long triangle, but the eyes are just closer than they should be. And you get this diversity, Zaitong, from doing photo studies. Istebrak, how do you get a portrait to look more like a specific person? Measuring it. Measuring, I think it is, isn't it? Isn't it Japanese? Paint tool sai. But yeah, to make it look more like the person, you just measure exactly what you're looking at. Measure the distance between the eyes and the mouth, the nose and the mouth, the width of the nose compared to the eyes. That's the only way, Zaitong. Everyone's measurements are different. You can't assume you can just start drawing and skip measuring. You'll never make the person look like the same. Head, shoulders, knees. As someone who can't afford the 14-day challenge, what should I do instead? You mean you can't afford it time-wise? You don't have to pay to start it. Yeah, I don't have to host it. You can still post it to the community. So if you guys want to be part of the class, you just have to go to istebrak.com. Click on this little button, G+. Just click on it, and you'll get to the community. We have 3,000 members. I wasn't even keeping count. But yeah, you can post it here, and everyone will give you a critique. Everyone is nice enough to provide critiques. Usually you don't last that long before someone gives you their idea. A lot of people are active. I love you guys so much for staying active and helping each other out. It really means a lot when I see you guys critiquing each other. 14-day challengers tend to have less critiques all around because it's the same rules repeated. But if you guys do have time and you just happen to cross a 14-day challenger, God, that creep is always looking. Help them out. Give them a quick critique. You're not gonna get a critique always or 14 days. So try to make friends. There's 3,000 members in here. Try to critique each other. It doesn't matter if you're not professional and you're critiquing on something better than your work or what you think is better than your work. Everyone has improvement, a space for improvement. When I started committing to Photoshop for work, I've had a hard time adapting to other programs. Yeah, because it just offers everything in a really not a standard universal way, in a really industrial way, I guess. Hey, Istebrak, since you're a makeup artist, do you know an alternative for liquid latex? Are you allergic to it? No, I don't really. I'm not sure if it's not. I'm not a special effects makeup artist. I'm just like all cosmetics, all that business, and I haven't done that professionally in a very long time. The only model has been myself and my friends if I give them makeovers. I haven't done it professionally. I worked a lot before I got into art and teaching. Right after I graduated, I worked at like these random. It was really messed up after I got out of university. I worked in the most random spots in the most random ways, and cosmetics was one that. What was your art like when you were younger? Very, very funny looking. Mr. Rack, if measuring creates likeness, why do caricatures work? Because they exaggerate where the likeness is centralized. So if they have a particularly large nose, exaggerate their nose. Make it way bigger. You're not taking away from the largeness, you're adding to it. So you're making it look more like them, or stuff that we remember in our memory. We remember in caricatures. Everybody write that back to me. We always remember in caricatures. We don't remember in exact measurements. That you'd have to have some sort of disorder that you remember everything in such detail. But Jack Nicholson caricature images, they're always exaggerating his eyebrows, all right? His massive teeth, his tiny little creepy nose, and they're always exaggerating that. And these work because you're exaggerating their most prominent feature. This is really weird, right? And a little bit too much. They get away with it. I would not have been able to tell that this was Jack Nicholson because this is just mush here. The eyes are hidden. He doesn't even have these kinds of eyes. It's just the eyebrows. The eyebrows would have been the giveaway, but I can't even tell this is him. So just remember that, you have to be able to see where his features are mostly. Some caricatures are a pure fail. Some caricatures fail. All right? But Mr. Bean, his funny looking eyebrows, his massive nose, his beady eyes, his circular head, they exaggerated things that are already there. They didn't bring in new stuff. Alright. So they're just exaggerating what's already there. This is just fucking weird. I don't know. This is just getting the picture and oversizing some of the features. It's not even a caricature anymore. This is a caricature right here. They've exaggerated what's small, exaggerated what's large, exaggerated any props they always wear. The distance between the nose and the mouth is even more large. This right here, this is so cute. I love Mr. Bean. Okay, so that's why caricatures work. They're exaggerating what the measurements originally told us. So wow, this guy's nose is pretty big. Let me make it even more large. And then use some props to make him familiar. Would you ever make non-critique videos? Like a vlog? I don't know. God knows what the future holds. Yeah. Nobody remembers exact measurements. Any tips for your younger self, young artists? I'm going to say what I always say, and I'm going to leave off with this. You're not as good as you think you are on your best days, and you're not as bad as you think you are on your worst days. Okay? Have a great day, everyone. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.